Before I ever made my first candle, I bounced back and forth between a couple of different business ideas. The first one I ever got started with was reselling clothing on eBay. This was back at the very end of 2016, and I felt a rush of excitement when I first got into that business. It felt like all of the feel-good emotions, all the endorphins and dopamine was hitting me all at once, and I just jumped headfirst into it, and I felt so excited to take this journey on this eBay reselling business. Until a couple of months later, actually, you know what? I'll give myself a little bit more credit. I believe it was closer to a year later. I started finding videos on YouTube all about Amazon FBA, and my focus shifted 100%. My brain told me this is an easier, quicker way to make money. eBay is going to get you nowhere, and it is wasting your time. So while I didn't give up eBay completely, I did get started with Amazon FBA. And it wasn't until a couple months into Amazon FBA that I realized how difficult it really is and how much work actually does go into it. It is not a get-rich-quick business model at all. There are people that do that, but I was definitely not one of them. And I continued with Amazon FBA until I started finding videos on YouTube all about Shopify drop shipping, and my mind focused on that. And I thought, that is way better than Amazon FBA. That is going to be the thing that is going to make me all the money in the world, and I'm going to get rich from this, and this is going to be the easiest, most passive way for me to make an income. So I shifted my focus. I would have people in my life ask me about Amazon and Amazon FBA, and I would kind of just be like, yeah, you know, it's all right. It's okay. I'm actually focused on this now. And it was always the next thing. It was always, I was never giving a lot of time and 100% into one business model. I was always jumping back and forth. And after Shopify drop shipping, it was affiliate marketing. It was print on demand. It was always something shinier and better. The whole phrase of the grass is always greener on the other side. That was definitely something that I struggled with a lot in the beginning of trying to figure out a business model and a business to actually move forward with. And actually what ended up happening is after I went through all of these different business models, giving 20 to 30% into all of these and never finishing or pursuing, once I felt that failure, I would just move on to the next thing that gave me that rush of excitement and kind of that feeling of this is it. This is what's going to make me the most money. This is what my life's purpose is going to be all about. I found at the very end of it that I realized after I went back to eBay that if I would have just stuck with eBay all of those years, I would have been way further along and way more successful in that business than putting eBay off to the side and jumping from all of these different business models. And this, my friend, is called shiny object syndrome. And let's talk about it. Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Candle Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Marie Morris, and I'm so excited that you are here with me today, listening, working. Maybe you're doing the dishes, maybe you're working on labeling your candles or pouring, doing something hopefully productive while you are listening to this podcast. And productivity can also be just laying down in your bed, closing your eyes and listening to this podcast. That can also be a form of productivity for your mental health. So please don't think that I mean that you have to be working constantly all the time, because I definitely do not think that. I'm also very excited to announce that I was able to get this podcast on both Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. Although it's a little bit hard to find me. I tried to search myself by typing in the Candle Business Podcast. Nothing pops up. On Spotify, you can type in Erica Marie Morris and it comes up, but maybe if a few of you could go on there and just start typing in the Candle Business Podcast and see if it comes up, I'd be really interested to see if you get any search results from that. But regardless, I'm very excited for this podcast and for future episodes. It's making me so happy, and I look forward to it now every week to film this podcast series for you, and I appreciate all of the love on my previous video. So I very much appreciate that. And then one more thing before I jump in to today's topic. If you are a brand new candle maker, candle business owner, or if it's something that you are aspiring to and you are in the research phase and you are just really looking into everything that you need to do to make your launch more successful for your candle business, I do have a free gift for you to download. If you go to ericamarieMorris.com/checklist, you can download my Candle Business Launch Checklist. This is a very simple launch checklist, and it just goes over a lot of basic things that you need to be thinking about as you are working towards your launch for your business. So go download that completely free. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it, and I'm so happy for all of the people that have downloaded it so far, and I really, really, truly hope it is helping you. Now, today's topic of shiny object syndrome. This is something where I have had so much hands-on, so much personal experience with this topic. It's not one of my more prouder things that I can say I have a lot of experience with, but it is what it is. It's something that I didn't know I was doing until I learned what shiny object syndrome was. And I thought to myself, oh, got it. That's why I'm not getting any success in anything. That is why everything is half done, and I feel like none of this actually works. I feel like Amazon FBA doesn't work, Shopify dropshipping doesn't work, print on demand doesn't work. All of these things don't work because I didn't give enough effort into it. And I just realized I haven't actually said the definition of shiny object syndrome. If those of you who are listening to this right now don't know what that is, I hope that you could kind of see what it was based on my experience and my story from the first part of this episode. But essentially what shiny object syndrome is, according to Wikipedia, shiny object syndrome is the situation where people focus undue attention on an idea that is new and trendy, yet drop this as soon as something new takes its place. And that is the issue. It is actually the novelty, the thought of something being new. Most people are addicted to that. Most people are addicted to the novelty of things. This is why when you purchase something new, it could be as small as a new book or a new house, and you get the same response in your brain. You get that dopamine hit that goes to your brain, and we're all obsessed with it. We're all addicted to that feeling. We love that feeling, and it doesn't last forever. So a lot of times we will bounce back and forth between different things that are going to give us that quick dose of dopamine that we're looking for. But in reality, it's actually harming us a lot more than it's helping us. You can think about it like this. If somebody were to be building a road, and before they were done building that road, they started building another road, and then another road, and then another road, but they never actually finished any of the roads, those roads would be useless. They would be maybe 20 to 30% done, and they would lead to nowhere. And that's pretty much how it is when you are bouncing back and forth between all of these different ideas. You never give yourself the opportunity to see if you'll actually be successful in it because you've gone to so many different extremes and so many different places and ideas, and you've never actually committed to one thing or another to see it through. And that's really the secret to people that are able to make their businesses successful and other people that aren't. It's just a matter of the effort that you put into it. You can say, oh, well, it's because this person got in when the market wasn't saturated, or this niche is better, or this business idea is better. But really, it just comes down to how much effort and how much focus are you going to allot to that idea? Are you going to work on it for 2 weeks and then be like, I should be working on something else right now. I shouldn't be focusing on this because I haven't seen success with it yet. Or are you going to really buckle down and focus on it for 2 years or longer and really see what you can do and really play out all the different avenues? Because I feel like if I would have done that a lot more with, let's say, Amazon FBA, because I know people are successful with it. I'm kind of glad that I didn't do Amazon FBA any longer, because I feel like that wasn't really who I was. That wasn't really something that I felt like connected with me. My candle business is definitely everything that I always wanted it to be. I love doing it. I love it more than anything, so I wouldn't change anything. But it's not always a matter of you jumping back and forth between different business ideas. It could be you've tailored in to your business, let's say candle business, and you are jumping back and forth between what should you do? Should I do this? Should I do wholesale? Should I focus on my online sales? Should I focus on email marketing? What about doing local pop-ups? What about trying to do local candle making events? What should I do? And you keep thinking in your head, well, maybe this is the better option. Maybe this is going to make me more successful first. And you start kind of getting in your head and you start rolling around in your head of all these different ideas and all these different things that you can do, when all of these ideas can make you successful. All of these ideas can be really good for you. And it could be to where you start something and then that naturally leads into another path that's going to be more lucrative. It could make you more money. It could bring you more networking opportunities. You never know what's going to lead to what. So a lot of times, as much as we can have a plan for our business, there are always going to be distractions that's going to take our attention away, take our focus away, especially in the digital age that we're in right now with social media. And you hear people talking about all of their different business avenues that they are doing, and this made them this much money. And you see that somebody's now doing customization for their candles, or they're doing wedding themed candles or whatever it is, and you're thinking, wow, maybe I should do that. Maybe, and it can be, actually, I read something online. This is a perfect definition of it, and I think I actually added this to the title. It is the disease of distraction. That's exactly what shiny object syndrome is, because it doesn't ever allow you to grow, and it can be very detrimental, and it doesn't ever lead to completing anything. So when I really thought to myself, how am I going to combat this? How is it even possible to make it to where you don't chase after that dopamine rush and you don't chase after something new, the grass is always greener, that shiny new business idea that you're thinking about? Because I'm not going to lie, I deal with it all the time. I would say every week I deal with that. I'll think of these new ideas, and for a split moment I'll be thinking to myself, well, maybe I could just put off what I'm doing right now and then focus on this, because this definitely seems like it would be a really good thing for me to put my energy and attention into. And this is the way that I do it. It works for me, and I hope it works for you too. So the first thing that I do is I don't suppress those feelings. I don't not allow myself to engage in thought about that, because that is going to make me really upset. And I don't want to do that to myself. So I do allow myself to have those thoughts and engage in those ideas. And what I do is I open up my Notion account, which I love Notion so much. If you don't use that for your business, I love it. It helps me so much to be organized in my own kind of chaotic, disorganized way of still doing it. But I just have this section on my Notion account where I'm able to just get out marketing ideas. It's not organized. It's not anything to where it has to be, structured a certain way. I just type. I just get out all of my ideas, And that allows me to get out my ideas and make it to where I can engage in those ideas and be able to feel like, okay, this is something that I know I want to do. And you get out your ideas, and that way you're not upset later on, let's say 6 months down the line, when you've completed your project and your task that you were working on, and now you need to move on to another one. And if you think back, okay, well, what was that idea that I had that I told myself, don't even think about that because you're working on something? This is my section where I can go back and be like, okay, now looking at it from a different angle, a different perspective, a different time in my business, where you can come back months later down the line, look back at those ideas and say, okay, let's look into this further. What is this going to take? What is the realistic look on how I'm going to make this happen? And is this something that I actually want to do and is actually a good idea for my business? So that is how I handle the situations when I really get those kind of rushes of emotions and feelings and, oh my gosh, I got to do this. And it helps to write it down and also tell my mom, my husband, my sister, somebody just bounce ideas off of. It's also really good to have people around you that are also business owners that you can kind of bounce ideas off of. So I'll talk to other candle business owners as well that I'm pretty close with. And those ideas really help to just kind of have other people around you that can bounce off ideas. And that way you can have that for the future. Not necessarily focus on that at the moment, but if you want, and this is something that I learned for myself just recently because I've been working on these little realtor sample packs that I'm going to go into real estate offices and ask if I can leave samples for the agents. And that was something that I have been focusing on for the past, I want to say 6 weeks or so. I want to say 4 to 6 weeks, maybe even a little bit longer. And I'm not going to lie, there's definitely been things that have shifted my focus here and there. But one thing that always brings me back to getting excited again, kind of refueling that initial novelty of your first idea, is to talk to people about it, to write things down, to research about it more. But I actually just spent all of last night talking with my grandma, who has done a lot of business in her life, had a lot of businesses in her life. So I am very lucky that I do have her to talk to, but we talked for hours yesterday about the real estate ideas and different ideas when it comes to that. And it was a lot of fun, and it totally sparked this, that feeling again of, yes, I'm excited, this is great, and I'm so close to getting to the point where I can walk into these places and I have the marketing materials that I need. So being able to talk to people is very, very helpful in getting out all of these ideas and all of these emotions and thoughts and everything. And I really recommend that you write these things down. Don't just leave them in your mind for you to think about later. The more you get them out, the less space you're taking up in your brain. I can kind of think about it like that. You can write things down or type it out like I do. I can't write nearly as fast as I can think and type, so I have to type out everything. But I noticed that if I type it out and get it down, I don't have to use up my mind space for that anymore because I don't want to forget about it. That's something that I don't want to do, is miss out on a really good idea that I'll be thinking later on, dang, what was that idea? Now I have a place to write everything down, and it really, really helps me out to feel like I am giving that attention, but not enough attention to where it's bringing me back or bringing me away from what I should be focusing on and what I've already started focusing on in that project that I'm already working on. It allows me to get it out of my mind onto paper or the internet, a document, whatever it is, and then it's not taking up that space in your mind anymore. But that is my experience with shiny object syndrome. It has been something that I have struggled with for quite a long time now. And it wasn't until recently that I decided, instead of running away from it and telling myself, don't even think about any other ideas while you're working on something. It very much suppresses my creativity, my emotions, my happiness, and being able to have a designated area of kind of that brain dump of just get out all of your ideas. You can come back to it later. And there's actually a really good benefit to writing something down and then revisiting it at a later time. I've done that many times before with writing something, and in the moment, I hated it, or in the moment, I loved it. And then the opposite is true when I come back to it even a week later. So it's interesting what time can do and how perspective changes things on if it's actually something that you want to follow through with. So I think that is all that I wanted to talk about in today's video. I would love to hear, if you are watching this on YouTube, for you to leave a comment down in the comment section below and just let me know, have you struggled with shiny object syndrome? What has been the biggest hurdle for you to get over, and how have you been combating that? And will you use my tip of just allowing yourself in the moment to just get out your ideas onto a certain document or notebook or whatever it is? That way you have it down, you're not going to forget about it, and you can come back to it later when you can really give it a full 100% of attention. Once again, I really appreciate you hanging out with me today, listening to this podcast, and I hope that you can be as productive as possible in your candle business journey, but always remember to be patient with yourself along the way. And with that, I will see you in the next episode.